All right, let's talk about one of the most maddening, silent, project-killing moments in any home lab setup, the infamous black screen during a Proxmox install. You know the one. It feels like a total disaster, but as we're about to see, the real reason is often way simpler than you think. So, set the scene. You've got your shiny new hardware all ready to go. You've carefully flashed the Proxmox ISO onto a USB stick, you plug it all in, you hit that power button, and you're just buzzing with excitement to get this thing running. Everything seems to be going off without a hitch, until, well, it's not.
The installer starts to boot up, you see some text scroll by, and then poof, nothing. And I mean nothing. No error code, not even a sad blinking cursor to keep you company. The screen just goes completely, utterly black. And the silence is somehow louder than any error alarm. It just feels like you failed.
So what do? You wait. In the story that actually inspired this whole explainer, the person waited for 30 agonizing minutes, just staring at a blank screen with that horrible sinking feeling in their stomach that something has gone catastrophically wrong. And that feeling right there, that's what we're talking about in this first section. We're calling it black screen dread because it's so real. It's that awful moment when the total lack of information sends your imagination into a spiral, picturing the absolute worst possible outcome.
So, where did your brain immediately go? When you're staring into that abyss, it starts creating this frantic checklist of every single thing that could have possibly broken.
And what's on that list? Oh, you know it. Is the ISO corrupt? Did I flash the USB stick wrong? Maybe the GPU isn't supported. Oh God, is the motherboard dead? Did I mess up some tiny obscure BIOS setting? Did I actually just brick this brand new machine before it even got started? It is a full-blown rapid-fire panic session. But here is the big twist in the story. This is the moment where everything changes. After all of that panic, all of that dread, the system itself was working perfectly fine the entire time.
Yep, the problem wasn't the server. It was the screen you were looking at. The one and only tool you had to tell you what was happening was the very thing that was lying to you.
Which brings us directly to our main suspect. As it turns out, that nice, big, fancy TV you hooked up to your server rack for convenience, it might just be the root of all your problems. Let's break down exactly why.
The person who wrote the original story just nailed it with this line. The problem is that your so-called smart TV isn't all that smart. It's built to expect a perfect, polished 4K signal for your movies. It's actually incredibly dumb when it's faced with the weird, messy, low-res signals a computer spits out when it's booting up.
And really, it all comes down to this difference. A proper computer monitor, it's designed to be flexible. It expects to see all kinds of bizarre resolutions and refresh rates as a computer boots. A TV, on the other hand, is a total diva. It's picky. It wants a clean, standard, perfect video signal, not the raw, chaotic output from a bootloader.
I mean, just look at the boot process. During a normal Linux install, the video mode can switch at least 4 times. It goes from the BIOS to the bootloader to the kernel frame buffer and then finally to the nice graphical installer. A monitor just rolls with those punches. But a TV, it sees that first or second switch, loses the signal, and just gives up. It throws its hands in the air, leaving you staring at that black screen. Okay, so now that we know why this happens, let's get to the good part, the how. How do you actually fix this? The great news is you've got options, and they range from the laughably simple to a pro-level setup that will prevent this from ever happening again. So here are our 3 levels of a fix. Number 1, the simple fix. Just use a computer monitor. Seriously, that's it. That alone solves it for most people. Number 2, the solid backup plan. Use the text-based installer. And number 3, the Pro Prevention method, install an IP KVM for true remote console access.
Let's talk a little more about option 2, the text mode installer. Now, it's not going to win any design awards, but it is an absolute lifesaver. Because it's not graphical, it just sidesteps almost all of those weird resolution switching problems and GPU compatibility headaches. It might be boring, but trust me, sometimes boring is beautiful.
And then there's the pro move. An IP KVM. This might feel like overkill at first, but it gives you BIOS-level access to your machine from anywhere on your network. It completely removes the need for a physical monitor and could not care less about your TV's fussy logic. It's the ultimate peace of mind, especially when you're trying to fix something at 11 o'clock at night.
So, okay, we've solved the technical problem.
That's great. But there's a much bigger, more important lesson buried in this whole experience, one that's about how we approach troubleshooting in general.
This one quote from the source material just hits so hard. The whole time you were panicking, thinking your brand new server was a paperweight, it was probably working perfectly. You were just completely blind to it. Your main feedback tool, the display, had failed you completely.
So, the next time an install seems to hang or a system just feels completely unresponsive, remember that worst-case checklist we all make in our heads? Before you jump straight to, well, I must have bricked the hardware, just check the simple, fragile parts of the chain first. Is the cable really plugged in? Is this display the right tool for the job? Sometimes the most humbling and frankly the most time-saving thing you can possibly do is just check the absolute basics before you start tearing everything apart.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. We all have one of these. That one simple thing we always forget to check. That one bad assumption we always make when we're in a panic. So my question for you is, what's your biggest troubleshooting blind spot? Because just knowing what it is, that's half the battle.